Yeah. The world.
Wait, you really don't remember? It's literally just happened.
Wait. What's it called?
It was World's
It's
End,
World's End. Because
the worst of the Cornetto trilogy.
I keep wanting to say
Which
at World's End.
no, it's the World's End. You know, because it doubles as the name of the pub and also the end of the world. Spoiler for the ending,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess. They kind
Well,
of...
I was going to say it does the same thing that most Edgar. Well, at the very least, I don't know if Hot Fuzz does it, but Shaun of the Dead did it. So, like how they talk about a Bloody Mary, pop off this, get a few shots at the Winchester, and bang. Well, I know I just butchered it. But they were talking about the Faithful Servant, which was the drugs guy. The World's End, which literally turned out to be the end of the world. I know I'm completely getting them out of order, but that's
There's a gag.
Yeah, each bar is essentially a significant part of the story.
Exactly.
As in, yeah, the first post is the first stop on the journey. Faithful Servant. King's Head is where they meet, like, a representative of the thing trying to talk to them, etc.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan, yeah, exactly.
And Two-Headed Dog is where they fight the twins.
I was going to say, I think the first 4 of them had, like, a number in each, like, fucking, like, thing.
Max, could you turn yourself up just slightly?
Oh, sure, yeah.
There's also a naming convention, like it's all castle stuff, like there's King, Knightley, Stewart, or whatever. Like
well, I mean, that is just true to life. Like, actual small town English pubs are named like that. Like,
no,
that's kind of an early joke. Is when he's listing all of the pubs, they sound like ever so slightly sillier than just actual pubs you would find.
Well, no, I'm talking about the characters. Gary King, Andy Knightley, Pete. They're all named like that.
Yeah, and then there's the reference of King Arthur.
Yeah.
Well, I know King himself has a whole thing about Arthur, even though he clearly doesn't understand it, but he doesn't really understand much.
Yeah, well, that is one thing about him.
So
before we get right into it, so we'd all, I can 100% say this, we'd all recommend 1 and 2 of the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, God, yes.
100%. You guys should go see those movies, even though we've already talked about them in the past 2 episodes. But we do strongly recommend Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. What do we feel about recommending At World?
Watch it once and then be done with it.
Honestly, I think you don't really lose much if you just give it a miss.
Yeah.
I would say
sucks, but
it's better than most of the movies out there, like most modern, schlocky bullshit. At least it doesn't have some of the issues that plague movies today. So, like what I said, you could watch it once, get whatever initial value you're going to get out of it, but it doesn't have that same place in my heart that the first 2 do, where I will rewatch those like yearly or sometimes multiple times a year. This one just doesn't warrant a rewatch to me.
Yeah, it's like, it's a 4. It's like it's below average, but it's ultimately just kind of a harmless, okay-ish comedy.
I think
whereas the other 2 are like 9s, which is why it's such a disappointment.
Yeah, for me, I would say it's still like a 6, because it's, even though I don't like this movie, it is above average compared to other non-Cornetto trilogy movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't find a lot of the jokes funny, but I can see the setup, I can see the payoff. Like, all of the framework is there. It just doesn't land for me. And that's why I was saying, before we started recording, before we even started watching the movie, I'd kind of brought up that, like, I view comedy as, like, you can objectively critique a joke. But I never understood. I was like, why is it that I love the jokes in the first 2? So if the framework is essentially the same, why is it that this movie doesn't make me laugh? Well, Slur pointed out it's a subjective thing. The jokes just don't land for me. I don't find them funny, but the framework is all there. The pieces are all in place.
Yeah, and just before recording, I did actually kind of jump the gun, and I kind of think I diagnosed why. It's because, like, you could see that the jokes mechanically worked, but I think one of the fatal flaws in the movie is that by the time you get there, it's already missed its chance to really endear you to the characters. By the time you get to the jokes in Shaun of the Dead, you're already kind of vibing with the characters, vibing with the situation and the general tone and sense of humor. So when they throw jokes out, you're like in the right mental space to receive them. By the time the jokes come in this movie, you're kind of just already exhausted of Gary.
I was actually about to point out it also doesn't. It also helps something like Shaun of the Dead that the jokes kind of start from like minute 1, or at the very least, the clever dialogue does.
That is true. The first like 5 to 8 minutes of this is Gary telling the story of when they were young, and he's just kind of an arsehole, but he's not an arsehole that's endearing. And like I said before recording, so it was worthless and I'll have to go over it again, but in Shaun of the Dead, Shaun himself is kind of like a burnout, directionless character with a lot of like social awkwardness. So he's kind of a pain in the arse to the people in his life. But the arguments and conversations he gets into with those people are amusing to us, just not to the characters. Whereas Gary is just as obnoxious and insufferable to us as he is to the people around him in the movie. So by the time we start getting those jokes, it's kind of like when somebody you don't like says something that if somebody you liked said it, it would be, endearing and amusing. But because you don't like them, you're just like, fucking shut up.
Yeah.
See, and I think what amplifies that problem and makes it worse is that, like, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz have this really amazing supporting cast of characters to help kind of round things out. And I can barely remember the names of the supporting characters in this movie.
I literally didn't.
Andy,
like
Pete.
Well, Andy, and Gary, I would say are like the mains.
Right.
But I don't really like, none of the others are really standout to me. Like, there's that one moment with Pete in the bar where he's talking about the guy who used to bully him when he was a kid. But then it's immediately thrown away for like a quick joke, and it's always like they're getting into cool character stuff and Gary fucking ruins it, which makes you not like him even more.
Yeah, and then the characters don't like Gary for doing that as well. So it's like what Slayer was saying, it's just like he's a douchebag, and literally the cast and the audience realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
kind
kind of hard.
And
it's like he's not like, and he's not like the biggest asshole, but he's like just enough like you don't really want to fucking be anywhere near him.
He's just kind of tedious.
Yeah.
But like I said, so is Shaun. Like, if you knew Shaun in real life, he'd be kind of a prick. But because we're watching his antics and the conversations and arguments are amusing, we like watching him be an arsehole. We don't like watching Gary be an arsehole. It's a whole different thing, and a lot of it is there's a wittiness to the arguments Shaun gets into that just isn't there for the first half hour of this movie when we're establishing everyone. But like, the movie does get a lot better in the second act. Yeah, it's like there are jokes, there are things that are happening. There's like clever little play on things, and even during the fights, the way it's done, you see that Edgar Wright thing where one action will happen and it's then immediately mirrored on something else. Like, that's happening. It's like, there's clever little things in there, and there's jokes that, made me smile, not laugh out loud funny, but they're nice jokes.
I mean,
little ones.
There's even minor setup and payoff with the whole, the drunker they were getting, the better at fighting they became.
Yeah, Andy using bar stools as boxing gloves and going rage mode. I was
going to say, he just went all Viking berserker.
I do wish it was a little bit more consistent as to how breakable and or strong the mannequins are, because a lot of the time they were basically mannequins with hollow heads. Yeah. And that's fine. It's like that they're not, fighting robots. They are mannequins. But then you'd have some of them that are stronger, some of them that can be punched and land on the ground, and other ones who take a quick jab and their head explodes.
I would argue
lots of inconsistency with like them as well. Yeah, like
I would argue the story actually does improve once the aliens or whatever actually are like once it starts to get going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Once, even before you get the alien stuff, just them getting drunker and their banter is it's a lot better. Like, that second act when they're drunk and they're trying to figure out the robo-alien bullshit, that's clearly the idea that sprung the entire movie. Right. And then it feels like the beginning and the end were kind of tacked on to make it work as a narrative, but it kind of doesn't.
Yeah, this movie's weird. Like,
It is.
like just flat out. And like, I was gonna get to what I was gonna. Oh, hello?
You
Sorry.
cut out.
Yeah,
What?
sorry. I was gonna honestly, I agree with Slur that like you can miss this movie. Like, it's like what Ninja was saying. It's just a disappointing movie to me. I don't know.
I I don't know how I feel about the idea of just saying skip, because even when we did Blade Runner, I said no, like, because watch it at the very least for, like, it's one of the classics. Like, do it.
Classics
But
don't.
this isn't a classic.
Yeah,
Well,
this
that's
isn't
true.
a classic,
That's-
but even
that's-
counter Outland, it's like it even like seeing like the classics and shit like that. I don't feel like I've missed them much by watching the.
Fair enough. And I was more thinking of the sorry, classics was the wrong word.
Definitely.
When like a must see, because everybody brings up what's a must see. I've heard a lot of people say the Cornetto trilogy just as a whole.
Well, that's because they want to list it as one thing. But
Right.
if they really list it out, they really just mean Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
If I almost always just say Hot Fuzz. I don't get me wrong. Like, I like Shaun of the Dead. I love Hot Fuzz way too fucking much.
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of in the same boat, but just because like Shaun of the Dead isn't near dear to my heart. I'll admit it's a great movie. It's just like
Yeah,
I'm always ready to say Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, it's why we spent most of the time. Like, I spent most of the time muted because I was practically quoting the movie while we were watching it.
Yeah, I could actually hear you. But for this one, like, yeah, there's some good jokes here and there. I like what we mentioned about his name's Peter, right? The guy who got bullied.
Yeah.
Like, I like that little scene of Peter and shit like that, and it kind of sets up for eventual like snap later. Like, pretty good like acting there by that guy.
I like the fence joke. It's either that or Hot Fuzz. It's my favorite iteration of the fence.
Oh
joke.
yeah, the going fence joke, yeah, and like how each time it's a different way they deal with the fence. It's kind of
This time it just all
They
of
kind
them
of
just
used it
fell.
twice in this one, though, didn't they? Because he did it once when he tried to jump a hedge, and then he tried to jump a fence.
I
think so.
I guess I'm only counting when he
this
fell.
This is kind of
falls
indicative of the movie when we're trying to fucking point out good things and we don't even remember it.
I
Like
was
if
going
we
to say,
just fucking watch the movie.
Yeah, we're forgetting it, and it's like our brains are actively being bleached. It's like, wait, that happened in the movie, right? And it's like, oh no.
Sir, any like other good things you could think of off the top of your
Fucking gay was funny.
head? Fucking guy. That was like that. That was probably
thing.
I was smiling. I was smiling through the whole movie. That was actually the laugh I got.
I think that's the biggest laugh I got, and it's just because it's when the other characters have gotten drunk enough to come down to Gary's level, and that's kind of, if we had that sooner, like much sooner, it might have worked out better. Or if the whole movie wasn't so centered around Gary, we might have had more to work with, because the other ones had their own character shit that was interesting. And the end payoff where fucking Andy has to get into an actual fist fight with Gary to beat it into him that, like, our lives aren't perfect, asshole. We have our own shit going on, but you chose not to move forward in life. If we had more build up to that, if we actually, those times when Gary fucked off to do something else, we did get little things where the camera just stayed with the four other guys and they actually did have a genuine just catch up with what they were doing with their lives and all of that.
Yeah,
more of that would have made a lot of it a lot stronger, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
To pull off what Slur was saying, like the conversation they were having at the petrol station. I don't know why I said petrol gas station. What the fuck?
It's a petrol station. It's in the UK.
No, it's it's gasoline.
It's a liquid. It's not a fucking gas.
God
gasoline.
Damn,
Technically, it was a rest stop. It was a service area.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, actually, it was a rest stop. Fair, but that's like the coolest rest stop I've ever fucking seen.
Need for Speed
machine.
You
get. As I say, in America, you get like 2 fucking broken vending machines and like a really pissy fucking floor bathroom. That had a fucking arcade, a fucking food bar, like all sorts of crazy shit.
Coffee shop.
Yeah,
Fuck.
you kind of get that here as well, where just off of main roads, you'll have like a little restaurant, and it'll have like a car park and other like little bits like that for people who are on long journeys.
The
Yeah,
luckiest they'd be able to
we
get would
only
be a
have.
hot dog.
I was about to say we only have those like on highways, and they're like there's rest areas, but then there's truck stops. You would want to stop at a truck stop if you want to act like a truck stop is more akin to like what we saw in the movie.
Yeah, and when they were having that
That's
conversation
kind of food too.
at that rest stop where they were talking about with Pete being like a partner of his dad's car dealership, like just moments of them catching up. It was really nice.
Yeah, but how can he be a part of the car dealership with those points on his license?
Yeah.
How is he not in jail with all
Objective
those
flaw.
points?
Well, points on your license don't land you in prison. I don't know if like
They get
America
them taken
even
away
has a
here.
thing. That,
Yeah,
if
you're
for
caught
Ireland
driving.
it's 12. 12 points on your license has your license revoked. And I think like at different iterations, I think like at 6 points they like send you to a course of like how to stop being a fuck up on the road or shit like that.
Yeah,
Most
it's-
people
I
will
like to-
get a point on their license for speeding. I think is like the most common thing. If
Yeah.
you're drink driving, I think it is like either immediately 12 points or it's multiple points. Like it's taken very seriously.
Over
Yes,
here, that's a night in jail.
As I say, it's about similar.
Well, also that, yeah, like I'm just talking about the license shit, not the
Fair.
fact that you also broke the law on top of that.
Yeah,
like-
it's similar to that, but like if your license got enough points and you were caught driving, that can be a jail sentence.
So we were talking about good bits of the film while I was on the phone.
You got anything?
I actually really liked the scene with Andy and Gary at the world's end before the fucking elevator and all the alien bullshit. Like
Yeah.
everything in that moment was fantastic. We were finally getting some real like meat and potatoes of fucking character
Yeah.
and learning a lot more about them and getting some real like heavy hitting emotional shit. And up to this point in the movie, we've been kind of starved for a lot of that
We
because
got,
of
like,
Gary's antics and
hints.
bullshit.
We got
Yeah.
hints here and there, but like that was it. We never really had. Like, we got meat and potatoes with some of the other characters. Like no,
Pete,
The-
with Pete,
the one
Steve.
the one who turned into fucking gay,
Oh,
the tall one,
The rival,
That was Steve.
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 I just
Yeah,
know
you
them.
got bits with him, and you got bits with like how he was after Sam and stuff like that, and you got bits with like Pete, how he was bullied and stuff like. Those were all good moments, but this is like the first time that our two quote unquote mains, Andy and Gary, are really hashing their shit out,
yeah, because
and it's great.
They didn't
Yeah.
really hash it out at the what was a law firm. Where
They
was
keep
it?
alluding to it.
Well, it's because he didn't want to get into it at his fucking work. Like, you know what I mean?
I
He was ready,
get that.
he was ready.
but-
No. I was just mentioning to Wyatt. It's like, yeah, he doesn't want to get into it at his work because he's trying to be polite. But it's like he doesn't want to fucking ream somebody while he's dealing with his job.
And it was kind of like, it's in the past. We both know what happened. What the fuck do you want? And
Yeah.
also, please fucking leave. And you can tell when they all get together, it's like, the four guys apart from Gary, they're clearly mainly there to see each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary just happens to be the catalyst for it. And like one of the first things they say is like, okay, so which one of us is the most fucking stupid for turning up?
And then
And it
shows
cuts
Andy.
to Andy because because he's obviously the one who got it the worst, and we already have a hint that made that pretty clear. And I think, the more we talk about it, the more I'm realizing like one of the big things is that this movie really focuses on what is probably the worst main character of all of them. Andy is a much better character in
Oh,
every
yeah.
way. He's more interesting. He's more proactive. It's like every time he makes a decision, or when he finally got his grade, he'd had enough. Just downs 5 shots. Is like, right, let's fucking go. It's like, yes, that's a main character right there.
Yeah.
When he rips his fucking sweater, it's like I fucking hate this town.
Yeah, oh, dude, I feel that. Growing up in
Yeah.
small town that you can't seem to escape from, it's that shit's real.
Hey, a
Up in the
Data
city,
member
so I
made a
wouldn't
fucking
know.
song about it.
I feel like a lot of the issues that we have with the movie probably would have been fixed if they had centered more on Andy.
Yes,
If they had kind of flopped him and Simon Pegg, and followed him as the main for this one instead of Simon, it would have been better.
I fucking hate Gary. Like it's just
Yeah. I think
that's
more wit in Gary's dialogue, making him awkward, but in a way that's actually funny for us, rather than just
he does
that
have like
Insufferable.
would make the first half hour much better, which brings it up a point already, and then a more satisfying ending, already back up to a 6 for me.
yeah.
And then from there, you can just improve things by rebalancing what goes where.
Yeah, just he comes off as like too fucking like I get the idea. It's like, hey, he's a neat, but it's like, dude, that's every fucking line is that
Mhm.
reminding you that he's a fucking loser. It's,
Yeah,
God
And
damn, dude.
obnoxious about it.
Very much
King-
obnoxious. Like very like what's the word? Like
He
Insufferable.
peaked in high
not
school.
not insufferable, but like what's
Damn it,
he's
Slay.
he's immune to his own fucking like assholishness. Like I'm trying to think of a word. It's
So
literally fucking ability in fucking Pokemon.
Oblivious.
So while
Oblivious, yes, thank you. Like he doesn't realize how much of a fucking piece of shit he is. It's weird.
to
He
get it
thinks
off
he's the shit.
to get it off what Slur kind of said, because that's what I was about to say. He's that person who peaked at high school. He
Very much
legit
so.
thinks like his senior year, the last day where he got fucking drunk out of his mind, was the last good day of his life, and has never moved on from that.
Mm-hmm.
To the point.
Well, yes
very
and
much-
no. One of the best lines in the film is, "I got help. Let me tell you what help was. Help was a bunch of losers sitting around in a circle." You know what I mean? Like, that line
Mm-hmm.
says a lot and does a lot of work for his character. But the problem is it comes in at like the very fucking end.
Yeah, it's
Literally
like the
comes
last
at
20. It's like
95% mark. Like it's at the very end of the fucking movie.
yeah, we've got 10 minutes
Yeah.
of movie left.
It's, well, and not only that, but the 10 minutes that follows don't even really feel linked.
Yeah,
rest of
we're
it, you
gonna.
know?
I feel like that's gonna
It
be
feels
the
like a
biggest.
placeholder ending, doesn't
I
it?
feel like that's gonna be the biggest point of the movie. Is like the fucking ending
Is
is
unsatisfying as shit.
is
It
so
sounds like
like awful.
Okay, well,
Like,
you know what
this
it
is
seems like to
gonna-
me? It's like writer's block. So just to fucking get the project over with so that you can then revise and in your second draft put something better in, you just have, okay, and then the alien just says fuck it and blows up, and then we go to the ending, and now I can go back and, you know, with fresh eyes try and flesh this out into something else, and he kind of just didn't.
So let me ask you this, because this is going to seem like kind of a weird question. Where do you put the pin for the start of the ending? Because to me, everything from him pulling that tap and the elevator dropping down, that's the ending, and
Yep.
I hate all of it.
Oh,
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, the
it's-
speech he has when he talks to the big fucking lamp and says, fuck off back to Legoland, you cunt. That, it's a bit more endearing than I remember, but the thing that made it the worst scene in the movie in my head is because of the ending. Is because after that big speech, the alien just says fuck it and that's it. It's really unsatisfying.
I kind of
it's
do like that line
jarring.
of we are the human race and we don't like being told what to do. It's like, but it's attached to so much bullshit.
Yeah, the hole's like you bit off more than you could chew with Earth. We are the most belligerent, ignorant, and abrasive fucking species in the galaxy. It's like, that's good comedic shit. You can do something with that. It's like
Also
we're just
true.
so fucking self-destructive and fucked in the head that we literally cannot be assimilated into a galactic civilization. That
But
can be funny.
But there's a part of
Granted.
me that reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z Abridged Bardock movie, where like they're talking off to the fucking alien, but you just hear in the background, that man does not speak for us.
I was thinking about that while Gary was talking.
Seriously,
It's like,
we're not
how
with him.
How much like they said the glitch was that Newton Haven was not the only glitch in the system. So at least it's like, okay, like it's not just Gary that speaks for the rest
Well,
of the
yeah,
human race.
there's more than one Gary King, and then the lamp is just like, but you just said, I know what I just fucking said.
It's a pretty fucking good line. I'm not gonna
Like,
lie.
yeah, there are good lines in that speech, but I
Mhm.
didn't remember that there were good lines in the speech because the entire scene got ruined in my memory because it's the ending, and the ending is really shit.
Yeah, it's all Mad Max now and shit. I guess.
Yeah,
Mm.
Why is Gary walking around with the blanks?
Why
does he care so much about them being treated as equals?
Oh,
Like,
dude, that ending for him, that annoys me.
Makes no fucking sense.
Because what he did was just grab the blanks of his childhood friends as in their like childhood forms, and he just wanders the countryside like King Arthur. It's like, but that just undercuts any arc he had in the movie.
Yeah,
because he's still living in the fucking past.
He's still living in the past.
But he's sober at the same time. It's like, what?
Or there's just no beer, and water is just like, Mad Max rules.
Yeah,
water is the thing.
But he's drinking fucking rain.
He's drinking fucking.
That is also a good line. I quite like that.
It's a good line, yeah.
Drinking fucking rain. I'm
I'm
pretty sure I actually have said something along those lines at some point.
I've been told that line before. Not rain, but like,
Sober,
God
bitch.
damn it! Why aren't you fucking ruining your life with us? It's like I don't want to.
yeah, when I first started drinking, it was this whole like, why aren't you drinking with us? And now it's just later. I'm like, it's
I mean,
fine,
that's just
whatever.
being like 18, 19.
Yeah,
well,
that's
just
the thing.
started going out and drinking and everything's like.
And not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to watch this movie like after like what? It's almost it's been fucking 10 years almost, and it's like, yeah, I've grown up, fucking dealt with more of the world and shit like that, and I was kind of curious if it would change like perspective of it, but it's still kind of this movie still kind of sucks.
A little bit, yep.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, maybe I could relate to Gary. It's like, oh no, Gary's a fucking douchebag. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and they never really put him through like a redeeming arc.
I mean, he saves the chick and he beats up the robots, but like that's nothing really.
They're all beating up the robots.
Yeah,
it's like that's not a uniquely Gary thing.
Yeah,
that's the bare
all of them
bones
except
requirement.
Peter until the very end. He spends that first fight trying to hide in a cubicle.
Wait, well, that's what you call bathroom
but
stalls?
that's the problem, is that Peter has more of a satisfying arc than your main fucking character.
And then he gets like face fucked apparently.
And mulched.
Oh, and yeah,
Jesus,
fuck mulched.
I was going to say is like, oh yeah, Gary doesn't speak for me, but at the same time, this is a galactic civilization that basically assimilates people, and if you don't comply, you're mulched.
Yeah, that felt like kind of tacked on.
It felt like a try to like, oh, but these are the bad guys, because it's like, but wait, they fucking supply us with all of our fucking technology. Hold up. Like, what a few people get mulched, or we all live in Mad Max land.
Well, so many people get mulched that entire towns are replaced because the humans just will not cooperate.
If it was just Newton,
yeah, but then we won't cooperate in the Mad Max land either. Fuck. Like, you know what I mean? It's
but we're no longer the lamp's problem.
Fair enough. Fuck it.
Well, but we're still. Also, why did they have the whole thing about like the blanks turning themselves back on, and now you have like this class?
So, dude, I feel like that's literally just a fucking reference to Shaun of the Dead.
I guess, yeah, it's weird. It feels very
so weird. Well, because remember because the zombies, like, they kind of chill out after the apocalypse happens.
I think it's more just they wanted something funny to do with them, so that like some of the characters can come back, but like, oh man, now it has like a football for a head.
And then somebody tossed a coin into his. I liked that. I'll admit, I laughed at the coin, and then he flipped off whoever flicked a fucking coin into his head.
It's like, can he see?
No.
He somehow can and can't.
No, he can't.
Well, no.
Because he bumps into stuff all the time.
Yeah, but
how do you know to go in at the very least? Why was he not bumping into the fences?
He kind of felt his way there.
Yeah. How do you think blind people actually function?
Because they have a stick.
Well, they have a stick and fucking seeing dogs and shit like that. They don't just mindlessly walk forward and be like, I love
Maybe they should
sell this house.
Hold on.
I'm gonna sell this house that I need to know the ins and outs of, and like if it's fucked up or not.
I love how Max and I was like, it's a cane. We both just went, it's a stick. As if blind people just like pick up a stick off the ground.
I mean, they could if they don't have a cane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd have to really
have to be
put
the
some effort
straightest
into
stick in
finding
the
one,
world.
but you know.
No, they're just like Channing Tatum. They just see later.
Oh my god, I can see.
I can see now.
Maybe they should just periodically scream and use echolocation.
Just fucking
I mean, when
Poor
whenever
man, Matt.
when Pierce Brosnan hit the alarm and they all opened their mouths, it's like they are just reeing.
Yeah, like what?
Humans.
Like what was that? Phase 2 of their fucking like. This is not even their final form. Now they have flashlight faces. God, the
Yeah.
robots are fucking weird, dude. Like, they're sorry, the blanks.
But they're not robots.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying blanks. I'm sorry, I misgendered them.
Robots
No,
are
it's-
slaves, and we're not slaves.
I don't even know what a fucking pronoun is. It is a pronoun. It's like, what is it?
God, there are a couple like dialect shit like that.
Like I
that
said, after that first half hour, 40 minutes, when we actually get going with the pub crawl, which is the main thing of the movie, there's good jokes in there. It's just by that time, we're kind of already fucked off with Gary, and we haven't really been drawn into the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, and when it comes, what all did Gary do before like they all lost contact? He sold Steve's guitar for drugs. He got into the big wreck with
Andy.
Andy. Thank you. I don't know why I suddenly blanked. Maybe one of them.
It's more than just getting in the wreck, though. Like, it's getting
Oh,
in the
yeah.
wreck. He's basically like bleeding out and dying. He cut his femoral
Yes.
artery, which is usually fatal.
Yeah, that's
And
Yeah,
dead
that's
in a
big
minute. That's
serious.
dead in a minute.
And it's the fact that he left him. That's
Yeah.
the big thing.
That's the
Like,
and
he OD'd and Andy was driving him to a hospital. It was like, he wasn't going to blame him for that. If that's all it was, is like, he would have a serious talk like, dude, you need to get fucking help. This drugs thing has gone on too long and it's gone too far. I'm not doing that. It's like, you can have a serious conversation there, but it's not going to end the friendship. It's not going to give him that fucking 1,000-yard stare as soon as he sees Gary walk into his building like, oh, a friend is here to see. He's like, no, there isn't. Like, that came from being left there to bleed.
yeah, and not only arrested after having what did he say, a couple days of life-saving surgery. Yeah, he was on death's
12
fucking
hours.
doorstep. 12 hours of
Yes, it's 12
That's-
hours of life-saving surgery, and then
that's
he gets
still-
arrested.
that was still he was on death's fucking door.
I can't remember if he actually did anything specific to Pete other than like the license thing. The same car that, oh, this looks like the fucking thing I sold you back in '89.
He's-
It is the fucking thing you sold me back in '89.
He's kind of been stalking Pete, like
Little
so
bit.
he could keep up with the
Kinda
license
weird.
thing.
Were you outside my house? No. Never even been to Bishop Street, fucking 12th Avenue, blah, 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 blah.
Well, and then he scammed them all out of money to pay back fucking Andy, just to get him to come on the trip.
Yeah, and it's that kind of shit. It's like, we get that he's an arsehole, and he's doing like fucking arsehole shit, but it's so bad that it genuinely doesn't make sense that these people would even go along with this. Not
Well,
even for the sake of seeing each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think we all have people in our life that we consider it's like well they're an asshole. And it's like yeah, but there are assholes. Like we're familiar with that concept, but
Mhm.
even those people have moments of like genuine goodness. Like there has to be a reason that you're drawn to that person in the first place, and it's
Yeah.
not just an origin story. Like it continues on. Like you're not going to follow or spend time with this asshole if he's an asshole 24/7. There has to be kind of that back and forth, and you don't really get that with Gary. So he almost seems unbelievable, or not so much that Gary's unbelievable, but them sticking around, them continuing to follow him. It's like once they realize that he scammed all of them, why didn't they immediately stop and go, fuck you?
Well, I mean, when he found out about the mom, he was pretty much going to be like, "Fuck you."
Oh
He
yeah,
was
he
gonna-
was actually going for fucking blood at that point. He's like,
He was literally
motherfucker.
seeing red. He literally couldn't see the fucking headless body on the fucking
I
ground.
thought that
right
was a
next to him.
like imagine being that distracted that like with being angry at somebody like Max. I just see you in a bathroom. I'm like, you didn't charge the fucking controllers. And there's
Yeah,
just
but
a
the problem
headless
is
body.
I didn't charge the controllers. I lied to you that I lied to you
Well,
that
I know,
my mother died.
And
I-
also,
I
it didn't
know, I
look
was
like
try-
a dead person. It looked like a mannequin because it was blue. And it's like, if
There's still
that
a
was an
head on the
actual-
floor.
yeah, but a mannequin head You walk into that room, right? You're angry as shit. You are laser focused on him. If there was an actual person's head and there was like red blood, you would stop. But a bunch of like blue inky shit and he's holding a mannequin, knowing Gary, that's probably just a position he's been found in before anyways. You lied to me about your mother, you actual cunt. You know?
And you literally lied to every to get us out here. And you've been fucking, not only that, but you've also been subconsciously fucking with things. It was more of like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a culmination of
Even
everything.
after the fight ends, he goes immediately back to, you lied to us about your mom. Like,
Yeah, but it was a
hesitation.
white lie because she's still alive, and he immediately fucking swings.
Yeah. So even after the fight, even after he acknowledged something fucky and weird going on, he still presses Gary about it. So I get that, but it's just, I don't know, like if there were some moments peppered throughout the movie where Gary wasn't a total asshole to these people, we could kind of see why they're still willing to follow him around. But we kind of just get, well, Gary's plan is the best plan for fucking reasons, and they continue to follow him on this.
That is the weirdest whole fucking part of the whole.
It does kind of rely on the fact that by that point, they're already shit-faced.
Well, hold on. I have a point on that. I was going to bring up I don't know if I buy the whole, like, I feel like it's Edgar Wright's hand to make Andy take the 5 shots after the fight. When it's like, wouldn't Andy still want to be sober so they could get the fuck out?
Well, I mean, he probably is just dealing with the fact that he murdered 3 kids.
Well, the fact that he was here on the premise of a lie, now he's fighting weird blue ink people. You know what? This is not the day for my sobriety. Fuck it. Like, he's had that straw that broke the camel's back moment, and if you're a recovering alcoholic, that's the kind of the shit that, like, right back in the wagon.
Fair enough.
I guess
like his moans were a little weird. Like that scene, they should have just cut to like all of them being done. Like,
fuck,
it's a weird moment when he's just like moaning, and it's like, oh, it's all focusing on, look, he's breaking the thing. It's like, okay, can we like, it's one of those things where it's like that could have been cut a little bit.
I can't even do like a single shot, let alone if I would be able to do 5 in a row.
But doing 5 in a row, that's fucking lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Shots are something you do 1 at a time and pretty well spaced.
Or 2. But yeah, it's usually 2.
Fuck,
it's usually 1.
Well, no, a lot of people I know do double shots, but I know a lot of fucking alcoholics. So hey, what do you want?
Fucking tryhards.
I mean,
okay.
One of them's listening to us. Hi, Andrew.
I was about to. Okay, hold on. Would 12 pints really put somebody down that bad?
12 is a lot of pints.
That's a lot.
If you go out for a night,
alcohol.
If you go out for a night and it's a long night, like you're out with friends, you're perfectly okay with getting fucked up. You're looking at about like 7, 8 pints usually. Maybe 9 if you're just there for a long fucking time.
It doesn't even.
12 is a lot of pints.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be pints. I want you to drink 12 big ass glasses of orange juice right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of fucking. That's a lot of liquid.
Or over the next 6 hours, I want you to drink like your body weight in water.
That's a lot of liquid. It's a lot of liquid.
Chug a gallon of milk, you fuck.
Well, the joke I was about to say is, or is my liver that damaged? Because I don't even drink that much beer. It's like I just drink spirits and soda. I feel like I've drank way more than they did.
No, they drink a shitload.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, they drink
okay. Spirit in some kind of mixer, it will usually work out volume for volume at about 5 to 6% alcohol, which is like just a little bit stronger than most beers. So alcohol wise, you're getting about the same, and you're probably only going to have about 7 to 9 of those on a long fucking night out where you're getting drunk as shit.
Fair. I was also gonna say fair enough because I've never gotten drunk off of beer because I can't stand the taste of beer. It's fucking gross.
There are nice ones out there, but generally, to be safe, I'll pick something sweeter like a cider.
It's this movie and fucking. It's this movie and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that make me just like, I don't drink beer at all. Those beers always look delicious.
Oh yeah, fictional
Yeah.
beer looks like the most delicious thing in the fucking world.
Oh, Django Unchained has it too.
The fuck
Where
that
he has the
beer,
fucking
that
where he, like,
saloon. Fuck.
yes, yeah, that beer looks fucking delicious. Like, I was like,
Good
what?
dark beer with like really thick foam on it. That's a good beer.
Oh,
The
those all the ones
almost
I'm thinking about are
yellow
light.
looking pissy shit they were drinking for most of this. That's awful. That's like some
Mm,
just manufactured lager.
Yeah, but, like,
bullshit.
in-
No way. It's nutty with a fruity, aftertaste.
That
yeah, but like,
lingers on the tongue.
Yeah.
but, kind of sort. No, but like that's in Hitchhiker's Guide and Django. They're drinking the same thing. It's like a light beer with a lot of foam. But like I said, I don't drink though. But that always makes me want to drink something like that.
Yeah.
It's good looking shit. It could, for all I fucking know, it could be apple juice.
As far as I know, I think it is just non-alcoholic beer, that I think they pour it a certain way so it has that super frothy look.
Yeah.
You pour it into like the edge of the glass to make it foam up a bit more and to put more of a head on it. But how much of a head you can get also just depends on like the consistency of the beer itself. Some beers are just watery than others.
And some glasses, like St. Patrick's Day, I had like a 6-pack of Guinness, barely able to maintain a head because the pint glass I have is it's just one that just slopes outward the whole time, doesn't have that little bump that we see in the glasses. In the
That
movie.
has nothing to do with what will or won't put a head on it.
I was also
With Guinness, first of all, you're drinking out of a can, which is a sin.
no bottle.
Second of all,
I got,
to
it
make
was, it was bottled Guinness.
Okay,
first
that's
off-
a bit better.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't have access to a tap, unfortunately.
And then also because you have to have it imported, it's concentrated and then brought up to volume when it gets to America, so it doesn't taste the same. If you're
Yeah.
outside of Ireland and weirdly Nigeria, the two places that I know, right? But those are the two places that Guinness is actually manufactured, and yeah, those are the places
Alright.
where you get it fresh.
Fair enough.
I don't know why, but yeah, it's a thing. In
That's a
fact, for a
thing.
while there was even the Guinness ads you'd see on telly. They were like set in Nigeria, and they were like about them rather than us for a while. And it's like, huh,
I don't think
Is
I've
that
ever
where that
seen
one-
a single Guinness
weird but
commercial.
neat and funny.
Is that where
And
that
it's
one?
like-
Is that where that one commercial with the guy with the fucking buttered toast cat comes from?
What? What?
You never. I've shown this fucking video to you guys. It's where the fucking, it's like this black doctor guy or whatever. He's got like a thing of toast and he drops it and it lands jelly
Oh
down.
yeah.
And then he goes and then he grabs a cat and he fucking tapes the fucking jelly bread to the cat and fucking drops it. And like
Yeah,
the
and
cat
it-
just becomes a perpetual motion of fucking matter. And he
Did
puts
they
it in-
advertise Guinness at the end of it?
I don't
or-
remember what the fucking alcohol was because, like I said, I don't drink. But like,
think
I
it
just
was
remember
a
like
beer.
the whole point is like he takes the fucking like infinite power gem and he puts it into like a washing machine and it powers like the whole village and specifically it powers the fridge. It's
Hold
like
on,
one of
just-
it's one of the funniest commercials I've ever seen. I
I'm
love that
literally
shit.
I'm literally looking up Jellycat commercial.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be able to watch it right
Well,
now.
I'm not
I'm
saying
gonna
we
do it
watch it.
later or
I'm trying to
something,
see if I could
Yeah.
just find it.
Yeah, just find it, post it in the Discord, and we can look at it later. But yeah, no, well, that's just an interesting tidbit. I didn't know that.
The other one I remember is okay. You know those pictures you see of in certain parts of specifically Nigeria and other African countries like Ghana and shit. You have this sort of cultural thing of like older guys will just have these ridiculously brightly colored, finely tailored suits that they wear just to go to the pub and like hang out with their friends. Like they really dress up. And there was an ad that had like those guys, and it was just them just chilling out and like being vibrant and colorful and happy and drinking Guinness. And that
Is
was the
that-
ad for Guinness.
So, Slur, you would know this because you're at the very least out of the four of us the closest to England. Is that what a pub actually looks like? Because those
What?
actually look really nice and cozy. Or specifically, I was thinking of the one with the couches and stuff.
I mean, yeah, they all look like fairly standard, but in fact, the fact that they are so standard as pubs is kind of a joke in the thing
Well, right.
because they've
'cause
sort of
they're
been homogenized.
Yeah, they call it Starbucking. The reason I was asking is because when I think American bar, I think of like a sports bar or something, or just some hole in the wall.
I mean, you do get some of those as well. Like, you know, everywhere has dives, and you do have places like the Submarine up in Crumlin. They actually It's almost built like a stadium. So you know that meme thing where the whole crowd is in a pub looking at a projector screen?
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be like a sports pub here, where
They're watching-
everybody is there to watch the big match or something.
Yeah.
No, or to watch the DVD thing at the corner.
Or that.
Oh
well,
yeah.
I was gonna say there
Same
are
reaction.
some bars around here that have couches and shit like that too. But
Yeah,
you know,
none
they're more
around me.
Americanized. They don't like have that, I don't know, wooden feel or whatever pub feel.
Most pubs here have that kind of vibe, but like
Yeah.
with more random shit on the walls. But here's the thing. There's this touristy area of Dublin, and if you go in there, and it's the only place in all of Ireland where you'll see something actually titled as a traditional Irish bar, because that's, the Americans, hey, traditional Irish pub, come, just do the thing. And you go in, and it's so fucking plastic and obviously fake, because the random shit in the walls is literally just random shit, whereas in like actual town pubs, it's things that are somewhat significant to either the town or the pub or, the people or whatever. It's
Mhm.
not actually just random bullshit stuck onto the wall and the ceiling. And the fucking pints are shite. They're warm, they're watered down, they don't even have a fizz in them. It's
Uh-oh.
fucking awful. And they're more expensive as well.
Slar, calm down. Slar.
He just turns fucking Gear 5 on us.
See, I was
Yeah,
doing this like some girl was doing a year in Ireland for her college, whatever, and I was going out with her, and she wanted to have that tourist experience. So I was like, okay, fine, let's go Temple Bar. We'll, check out the tourist pubs. I felt like I was fucking skin crawling being there because I just don't belong.
I was gonna
This
say,
is for the tourists.
Yeah, you felt like an outsider in your own country for like a split second.
That's a weird feel.
No, I felt like I'd walked into the pen where we shuffle the outsiders so they don't bother the rest of us.
Something about the phrasing. We just shuffle all this.
Jesus.
And after that one pint, I was like, nope, fuck this, we're going to a real pub.
Fair enough.
There's a pub here in my town. I might go over to it just to see if it even does
Spoiler
that thing.
alert, there's not. It calls itself a pub. I guarantee you. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. It even has a big sign. It's like, we have Guinness, and I every time we pass that, I'm kind of like, I bet you do.
I mean, it's kind of just a rule. Every city on Earth has a quote-unquote traditional Irish pub. Every single one. Like, Groningen, a very small town in northern Netherlands. It's a little university town where I spent like half a year doing my Erasmus. They had a fucking Irish pub. It was just off of a random fucking road. It was called fucking something Mix or whatever bullshit.
Saint Nick's of the
Mick O'Houlihan's.
round table or some shit.
Seamus McKinty's traditional Irish pub here in the middle of fucking Botswana.
Oh man.
And it sounds like a joke, but that's literally probably a thing. Everywhere has an Irish pub.
I was gonna say, I feel like
And none of them are fucking Irish. They're just covered in green neon and random bullshit.
that's Irish,
and
though,
are
isn't
covered in, and are probably covered in Guinness signs too.
it? I love how this is like triggering Slayer.
It just makes me think of the fucking scene from Super Troopers where he's like, "Hey, what's that place you like with all the goofy shit on the walls?"
I mean, shenanigans.
Shame! Oh!
Literally that, yeah.
Slurs the fucking jaded police chief or whatever the fuck he was.
Put that shit away!
Give me that fucking soap. Just anyway.
So anyway, we're talking about The World's End.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, let's not talk about good movies and pubs. Yeah, I feel like, let's see, we got the ending, we got the inconsistencies of the blanks, the irredeemableness of Gary. Is there anything else like bad about the movie you could think of off the top of your head? Anything that sticks out?
I mean, I think we've covered the main things about why this one doesn't really work
Yeah.
and what it is about it that is so far below the other two.
I will agree that from a like joke structure standpoint, I can see why it's in the trilogy. Like it follows a lot of the same sort of framework for like the setup and the payoff and the way the jokes are delivered. Like even the fence gag would be one you could point to. But at the same time, it's like I have a hard time putting it next to the other two because it just doesn't come anywhere close.
The jokes are functional. Like
Yeah,
I wasn't, I didn't like laugh at every single one, but I was smiling. Like, it kind of
If
like
we rewrote the entire first half so that by the time we get to the jokes that we've actually been able to quote and stuff, if by the time we get there, we actually like these characters a bit more, I think the entire movie is brought up like a couple points immediately.
I was gonna say to add on to that, the conversations do feel like Edgar Wright wrote them, like the conversation between Gary and Steve in the construction site. Just that snappy back and forth nature that he generates.
Yeah. And there are a couple points where like the whole like Gary's like little one-liners where fuck, I'm trying to like remember one of them. Like the one we talked about with like it's a pronoun. There was another one that kind of stuck out to me. Just fuck.
I like the one with the back and forth with him and Sam about the disableds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like why is it out? I don't know what they do.
It's like this airplane humor. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious.
Don't call me Charlie. Shit
like
that.
When they're in the disableds for the other bar, and it's just like the twins. You wouldn't. They're always freaky. You slept with them. First off, no, I didn't. Second, how did you know? First off, it's a small town.
It's a small
Secondly,
town.
They told me.
Well, no. First of all, it's a small town. Second of all, I'm not stupid. And third of all, they told me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just
there's some like, yeah, because like I said, he just knows how to function.
Edgar Wright
is just a little tismy.
Edgar Wright with his dialogue, it feels the most human. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I could see this being an actual conversation.
The Tarantino thing, where the dialogue feels like the random, stupid conversations you actually end up having with people you've been around for a very long time. So it draws you in a lot more. Whereas some things, the dialogue will feel like you're watching a movie. It will feel scripted. Even if it's like, it's still decent dialogue. Like, it doesn't feel like you can see the author's hand right behind their fucking mouth. But it still feels like it's functional for the script. It's functional to get us to the next story beat.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a lot more natural, it's snappy, it's going back and forth, and sometimes the conversation will veer off into random weird directions, and they can be a little bit funny, or they just highlight that a character is either stupid, they always think they're right, or just whatever characteristic about them. That's the point of the dialogue, which is value in and of itself. It doesn't have to get us to the next plot point.
Yeah.
Like, so it feels like it's just we're learning things about them by just naturally having them bounce off of one another.
Like you mentioned, the Tarantino effect. That's literally pretty much all of Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
I was about to say, in terms of like a sort of visual...
You should probably watch that movie sometime soon.
In terms of an editing or visual gag, I don't think World's End even has anything close. Because when I think of jokes like that, I think of like in Hot Fuzz. It's like, if you didn't see it, who did? Dun, and then he brings his head back into the frame, and we have another one of the dun. Yeah, I don't think there's anything like that in World's End.
Because a little bit.
Edgar Wright's known for a lot of his editing.
I mentioned that there's a couple things during the fights, and like, okay, one thing that does come to mind as an example of that kind of thing is when he's constantly trying to drink the pint, but he keeps getting distracted by somebody attacking him, and then eventually one thing just cuts across and takes the glass out of his hands. So like, fuck!
Oh, fuck's sake!
Or it's like he punches someone and the blue blood just sprays up, and then something just hits him as he's trying to take a drink of the pint, and the beer sprays up. And it happens like a dun dun, kind of like a rhythmic thing.
And then towards the end, of that fight, he needs to save Sarah or take a sip. And and he goes to save her.
See, this movie has like soul, but unfortunately, it's kind of bogged down by a lot of bullshit.
Mainly that first half hour and last 10 minutes, man. Those I think are the death knells of this movie.
Yeah. Like I said, I still think it's better than most movies out there, which is why I kind of give it like a 6, even though I don't particularly like it. But putting it next to the other two is what really drags it down. Because that's a high fucking bar for the rest of the trilogy, and this just felt like a really big letdown.
Dude, next to Hot Fuzz, it becomes a 3.
Even Shaun of the Dead, like, it's just not as good. Shaun of the Dead had a better pub scene.
It did.
Yeah, unironically.
So
All right, so
I've kind of mentioned it a little bit. It's like overall, I do think I can settle at about a 5. But arguing higher than that, I think is tricky for me, just because of just even the better part of this movie is let down because its setup doesn't work.
And I definitely see where you're coming from with that. I think the reason that I'm comfortable giving it a 6 is because, like, to me, when I'm thinking of a 5, I'm thinking of like an average movie that comes across, like, I watch it once, I never want to see it again. Like, I didn't enjoy the recent watch through that I had of this. I didn't particularly enjoy the one that we just did. But if I was to put this up against most generic Hollywood schlock, I would take this every time. You know where I'm coming from? Like, compared to the average Hollywood 5, this is above that.
you'd rather eat this peanut butter jelly sandwich compared to the shit sandwich next to it.
Yeah, I was about to say...
Even some of the Hollywood, like, 5s, the ones that we would give kind of overall passes through, it's like... Because, you know, a 5 is supposed to be middle of the road.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the standard.
Yeah, so it's like, if most movies qualify as a 5 or probably less, as low, I mean, maybe, like, if we want to go into, you know, points, you could say this is a 5.5. Or like a 5.1 if we're going to be desperate. You know, it's like
say
just there.
Tom
it's
is
like
strangling all
there.
of us because he hates the decimal system.
Well, that's why I said just give it a 6. You know, and that's why I'm saying just give it a 6. Like, it's above average, but it's not something to write home about. It's nowhere near Shaun of the Dead. It's nowhere near Hot Fuzz. Those are like 9s and 10s. You know what I mean? You just you cannot compare this to the other two parts of the trilogy, which is unfortunate because I love the Cornetto duology. It's a shame they never made a third.
Yeah,
it just you know
when you bring up the comparison to modern movies, it's like, would you rather watch World's End or something like Ridiculous 6, where it's like,
well, Ridiculous 6 is fucking.
I was going to say,
like,
it has
that's
joke.
That's like offensively bad. Like, it's legit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no,
so
you would actually have to come up with
standard.
it. No, I mean, like, come up with a 5, something that is generically like, you know, forgettable.
No, dude, I'd rather watch the sequel trilogy than watch fucking Ridiculous 6 again. Like, it's actually fucking offensive. Like,
Would you rather watch?
Is Ridiculous 6 the
it's the Adam Sandler movie where they have fucking Adam Sandler in Redface?
Would you rather?
I don't think I saw that. Thankfully,
it's fucking it's god awful, and it
sounds
horribly racist. Like, it is very fucking racist. It is really bad.
It was awful.
Fair enough. That was too much of a that instead of shit sandwich. It's like, would you rather have a peanut butter and jelly or a kick to the balls? No,
or a racism sandwich.
No, kick to the balls makes a little bit more sense. What the fuck?
Would you rather watch World's End or like 50 First Dates, a average Sandler comedy?
Okay, an average Sandler comedy is still like a 2, a 1.
I'm sorry, he's made good fucking movies, sir.
He has been in good fucking movies. There's a difference.
Oh no.
I don't know what he's made. A lot of them as well, because that's his own production company.
Okay, the Happy Gilmore things, like Happy Gilmore itself, it's okay. You know, I thought it was fucking hilarious as a kid. I rewatched it when I was a good bit older. Didn't hold up as much. Still kind of passable. Most Happy Gilmore movies are fucking tax scams. They have to be.
I would say that for modern Sandler, Waterboy, Mr. Deeds, Happy Gilmore,
Billy Madison.
the one where that Billy Madison's the one where he repeats school, right?
Yeah, yes. And then Grandma's Boy, which wasn't actually that is his movie. I still recommend. I actually like that movie too. Yeah,
you showed me that. That was
it's pretty fucking funny. It's pretty fucking
first
good.
like
it's
half hour
pretty low, but like Big Daddy's actually a good one.
I need to rewatch it.
I was gonna say, like, all right, hold up. Okay, we gotta stop because, like, I feel like I do like these Adam Sandler movies, but like I'd have to rewatch them to actually objectively
scale.
That's
fair.
We are not doing an Adam Sandler arc.
Yeah, we're not doing an Adam Sandler arc, but like I remember liking 50 States.
I like 50 States too.
No,
but still.
No.
One in Hawaii.
I like most of Adam Sandler's movies, and I'm definitely with Slur on this one. That one is horrible.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
like I said,
50
I'd have
First
to.
Dates is horrific. I saw
I'd
that on
have
a
to- all right,
plane
well,
and I turned it
We
off.
missed
Do you have any
Valentine's
idea how
Day.
bad a movie has to be to turn it off on a fucking plane?
So here's a
I'd have to rewatch it. So Wyatt, what do you rate at World's End?
5. It's a 5.
5.
And it's like, would I rather watch this or like some fucking Melissa McCarthy comedy? You know, I'd rather watch the fucking.
Okay, all right. Enough of the comparisons. 'Cause we're gonna have
Sorry.
to do that shit again. All right. And I'd honestly rate it a 4. The ending really is like jarring and
Yeah.
bad as it is. I don't like the ending. I really don't. And it's not just because of like, oh, you know, fucking you want to live in the. No, it's. I don't know. It bugs me.
Is that it?
That's it.
Anyone- yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us for this episode. Be fucking sure to check us out for the next episode because we are going to be starting a new arc that I am hella excited for.
All right. We'll see you all next week. Jog on.
Bye-bye.